The last video in the Abrahamic religions of my religion mini-series, Judaism. So to start out with the origins of Judaism, many would think that the Old Testament of the Bible, Judaism, is the same as today's Judaism. However, they're not really. Um, for a while that was the case. The Israelite religion was the Jewish religion, for lack of a better term. However, the Judaism of the Bible was what is called a temple and priest religion. That means that the priesthood operated out of the temple and performed sacrifices to appease and honor God. However, after the Babylonian exile and the destruction of the first temple, the Tanakh, which we'll discuss a little bit later, was compiled. This led rabbis or teachers to rise to some prominence, though the priesthood regained their importance when the Jews, which is what they were called, and named after the kingdom of Judah, returned to Jerusalem and rebuilt the temple, starting the Second Temple period. Um, the death knell of the priesthood and temple religion um, came in around 70 CE after the Jewish revolt and the destruction of the Second Temple. What is left is what is called the Wailing Wall, and you see pictures of it all the time, videos of it all the time whenever anything happens in Jerusalem. Um, and the rabbis took charge of the Jewish writings and added to them, as well as took charge of Jewish religious services and leadership within the disparate communities throughout the Roman Empire at the time. And then once that fell and they started to spread a little bit more, Europe, the Middle East, Africa, and various other parts of the world, especially when America became a thing for the rest of the world. So, important doctrine and documents. Much like Islam, Judaism focuses on right practice or orthopraxy. For Jews, this has led to a focus on doing good in this life, which is largely because they don't really have an afterlife in Judaism, and the thought of like an everlasting soul didn't really appear until the Hellenistic period, when Greek thought started to mix in with Middle Eastern thought. Hellenistic period happened after Alexander the Great conquered the Achaemenid Persian Empire, and Israel just so happened to be part of that at the time. Um, Another important practice, though it's not technically a doctrine, is Judaism's prevalence of interpretation. There's a famous saying that goes, when there are two Jews talking, there are three opinions. The practice of divergent opinions has led to various splits that we will talk about later, and the Talmud, which we'll get to in a bit. However, despite these disagreements, there has never been a holy war or in Judaism or Inquisition to stamp out heresy. Instead, this religion focuses largely on the Jewish community as a whole, so all these disparate opinions. Um, uh, by focusing on this whole, they hope to one day end the exile that they have been in since the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE. This exile, after the exile from the Garden of Eden and the Babylonian exile, is attached to the idea of convening a covenant or agreement with God. By keeping the community together, the Jews hope to end the exile and renew their covenant with God. Now, the important documents in Judaism are the Tanakh and the Talmud. The Tanakh is an acronym for the Torah, or the law, the Nevi'im, or the prophets, and the Ketuvim, or the writings. This neatly splits the various books of the Old Testament or Jewish Bible, with certain books falling into certain parts. For instance, the first 5 books of the Torah, the Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, which are associated with Moses, they're also called the books of Moses, are the Torah. Um, Torah is a complicated term. The Talmud, or the instruction, are writings by the rabbis that interpret many aspects of Jewish life. More specifically, they are commentaries that debate the law, ethics, philosophy, and many other important parts of Jewish life and culture. Now, these various splits that have been caused by disparate opinions That was the case back in Jesus' day. Jesus was a devout Jew, and are seen today. In Israel, which is the only Jewish majority country, the only actively recognized sect in Judaism is the Orthodox sect. The Orthodoxy views itself as the traditional version of Judaism. This is because they keep the mitzvot, or commandments, that are part of Jewish law. They also adhere to dress, be it the dress of the Hasidic or ultra Orthodox community. You know, those big furry hats, the swirly hair things, the beard, things of that nature. Um, or the simple, or simply the yarmulke or head covering. They also practice traditional gender roles, including excluding women from the clergy. However, there are four more versions of Judaism. The plurality of American Jews are part of the Reform movement. This movement typically is more ritually observant, or focusing more on the ritual aspect of the religion, and focus on ethical aspects of the Torah, leading them to work towards social justice, and not the kashrut, which is more like like similar to, which includes keeping kosher, as they believe it is not binding like the ethical aspects of the Torah. They also, unlike the Orthodox community, try to assimilate as much as possible in the country they live in, while still maintaining their Jewish identity, such as speaking the local language and holding the Sabbath, which is the only holdover from the Israelite religion, on Sunday. The conservative movement tries to maintain a middle path, following all of the law like the Orthodox Jews, while integrating to the local culture and being open to biblical criticism like Reform Jews. There's a lot more to that, but those are like some of the basics of the big three. However, there are two more. Reconstructionist Judaism is another middle path that actually sprung out of conservative Judaism. Um, they hold their service in Hebrew and observe all of the mitzvot, and observe all of the Jewish holidays, not the mitzvot, but also try to focus on social justice, gender equality, and, unique to this form of Judaism, view the mitzvot as folkways, kind of like old practices that need to kind of be viewed in the context in which they were created. Um, uh, and then humanistic Jews are the outliers. They do not believe in God, but try to enact social justice and do not follow any practices such as male circumcision. However, they do celebrate overall Jewish culture. Um, Now, Judaism today, of all of the major religions I'll be talking about in this mini-series, this is by far the smallest in terms of overall population. The overall total population is around 14 million. Just over 10 million live in either the US or Israel, like I said, the only Jewish majority country. However, most of this population, about 5.2 million, live in the United States, with most diaspora populations not even coming close to a million. In the US in particular, the Jewish community has great influence in many different aspects of American culture and politics. Jewish narratives inspired American civil rights leaders, has brought us many of our favorite plays, musicals, and television channels, gave us legislation and legal rulings, brought us joy through comedy, and many other accomplishments. So, uh, the idea that Jews run everything is absurd, but Jews, in at least the United States, do have a very huge impact because of just the way that their culture views things, and they are a very community-oriented religion. Much a comparison could probably be Mormonism and Christianity, but that's not an exact comparison. Um, of course, there is also the distinction of Judaism birthing two of the world's largest religions, Christianity and Islam, and all three religions, which are called Abrahamic religions, uh, share many stories and ideas between them. Um, and this ends the Abrahamic portion of this mini-series. Next week, I'll be moving over to the Dharmic religions, Buddhism and Hinduism, though not in that order. And then we will move to Chinese religions, and then the one African religion that is in God is not one. And then we'll finally end with atheism. Again, that's not technically a religion, but it is an ethical path that many people in the world do follow. Um, and it is technically an ethical path. This is Josh Fazella with Cultural Catholic signing off.